Listen, you're not gonna find anything on me, okay? Trust me.
Empty your pockets into the tray, sir, or we'll have to. Your pockets, sir?
Lady, the problem isn't in my pants.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time to talk all things X-Men. We've got an issue of Hellions we're going to get to. Before that, we're going to hit up some news about the Simonsons returning on X-Men Legends, as well as Chris Claremont and another project he's got working on. And we have some news on the 10 lives and deaths of Wolverine. They released the solicitation information for the hardcover that's supposed to be coming out in the future. And here talking to me about that is the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado himself. Doc, how you doing?
I'm fine, man. It was a light week in X-Men, but an okay week for news.
Yeah, I was scared. I thought we were going to have to review Tini Howard's Excalibur. I was like, I don't want to read that book.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, fuck, there's only one X-Men book this week that I will willingly read. Everything else, you'd have to put a gun to my head, do it.
Yeah, obviously, we also had the Jordan White interview. I covered that one in depth, and we talked about it yesterday on the Comics Aficionados. So we covered that one enough. But if you want to hear Doc's thoughts, you go to the Comics Aficionados yesterday, and it's actually time-stamped. You can go right to that. You can hear from Perch as well. Sound good?
That works for me, brother.
All right, well, let's get into the big news. We know X-Men Legends has been fantastic. Really, outside of Hellions, in my opinion, the one must-read book that's out there on the X-Men lineup. We've been having lots of great returns as far as, we got Larry Hama back. We've had Peter David, Fabian Nicienza. We also had Wheezy and Walt Simonson return.
Yeah.
And they are returning again for X-Men Legends number 11, returning back to the X-Factor era. And I guess we're going to do some Four Horsemen stuff with Apocalypse.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to that. I mean, look, this is kind of what the first arc, the two issues that they did with, it involved Apocalypse a little bit, but I got what I wanted, which was them exploring Ship a little bit more. Now I'm getting them exploring the Horsemen and likely Apocalypse. Maybe not Apocalypse very much. I think they're going to kind of do what they did in the last time, which was make him more of a secondary in the shadows character. And they're going to let us, the first time it was focusing on Cameron Hodge and Ship. This time it's going to be focusing on Caliban and the Horsemen. And they're looking for a new Horseman. They're looking for their fourth.
This is all very exciting news. Now, I'm going to be honest. A lot of people were somewhat critical, and I think unfairly critical, of the art the last time the Simonsons were on that X Factor revisit, the X-Men Legends. I thought his art was even outshined Wheezy's writing, and I thought the writing was good.
Yeah, same here. Look, if you either like Walt Simonson's art or you don't, but his art in those two issues was really not terribly, it's not like his art has significantly degraded the same way that, like, say, Frank Miller's has in the 40 years since they did X Factor in the first place. And it hasn't really degraded since his Thor run. Now, is it different? Yeah, it's definitely different compared to all of if you want another Stuart Immonen clone artist on an X book, you're not going to get that with Walt. He has a very distinct style, and I thought it was excellent. But if people don't like it, that's cool too. But it's quintessentially Walt. It's not really any different than it was in X-Men or X Factor 20.
And it's crazy. This is pretty much like the 40th anniversary of X Factor, so it's very timely for this to show up. And I think it should be very good. And this is a one shot. It's not going to be two issues like most of the previous X-Men Legend runs.
Yeah. Fabian and Brett had 2 issues. Then Walt and Wheezy had 2 issues. Then Peter David and Todd Knock had 2 issues. But currently, they're giving Larry Hama 3 issues. So they're already kind of breaking that, 2 and 2 and 2 cycle. But I think they're trying to keep it on so they're doing 3 and 1 this time. I'm fine with it. Especially, Walt and Wheezy, let's be honest, those two issues that they did was quite condensed. I mean, there was a lot of story that happened in just 2 issues. That's the kind of stuff that modern writers would have taken 5 or 6 issues to do. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, especially for just like a one shot, it'll give us a pretty good, I think give us a pretty good story.
I couldn't agree more. Now, we also got another announcement about Chris Claremont returning. We knew he was coming back in X-Men Legends. We thought he was going to be here already, but apparently he's following up in February with X-Men Legends number 12, and he's going to be revisiting Excalibur. And I'm a little bit surprised they're letting him do this, since their current Excalibur writer is so poor in comparison, that they're going to let the master come in there and kind of show up the new talent right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little surprised by that too. It's, but at the same time, they've let, everyone, there was an X Factor book going on at the time, and they let Peter David and Todd Knock embarrass the shit out of Leah Williams and whoever the hell's drawing that. So yeah, I mean, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibilities, and it's not like they haven't embarrassed the ongoing series writer with having somebody better do it before already.
So what are you thinking Claremont's going to do with his return to Excalibur? What are you looking for in this?
I'm not sure. Look, Chris's Excalibur was never really my favorite book. That was his weird out there X book that was very, very different than his X-Men book. So I think you're probably going to get more exploration of Kitty, because, I mean, especially if you're doing Excalibur, it's going to be Kitty centric. And you're going to see, especially since Chris, that was his favorite, his favorite creation from the X books. And he took her over to Excalibur when he started that book. So I have a sneaky suspicion it's definitely going to focus on Kitty, probably Brian and Megan as well. And hopefully we'll get some sort of a decent Nightcrawler story. I don't know where he would fit this, though.
The good news is we do not get enough Kitty exploration within the X-Men over the last 10 years. So it's finally she's going to get the spotlight she deserves.
Yeah, I mean, I think she really will. I think, Brian and Megan haven't gotten much of a spotlight.
Yeah, I was being a smart ass. Kitty's been featured heavily in X-Men, but Brian and Megan, on the other hand,
yeah,
right.
Brian and Megan haven't. Now, real Kitty hasn't. Real Kitty hasn't been featured heavily in the X-Men in a long time. Because Catherine or Kate Pryde is damn sure not Kitty Pryde that we all know. Feels like
she's been more important than Psylocke for like a decade.
Yeah, but she, we haven't gotten the real version of her. She's just been kind of a bitch for the past, decade.
Yeah, we'll see what Claremont does. What I'm more excited about, we should have talked about this before now, Doc, is that Claremont keeps hinting at this Gambit miniseries that he's writing, which I really hope is set in the modern, X-Men universe. If it isn't, so be it. But I really want this Gambit Claremont miniseries. I think it's going to be dope.
I do too. I especially do want it set in present time, because for no other reason that it'll take Gambit away from Tinny Howard.
Well, she made him a stay-at-home dad, which is nothing wrong with that. Hey, I'm a stay-at-home dad, but I don't have superpowers.
And in the most recent issue, she put him in a French maid's costume. So
that's why I don't read Excalibur, man.
I didn't read it either. Somebody sent it to me. It was embarrassing. I felt embarrassed for whoever had to draw it.
Well, I feel embarrassed whoever created Gambit, and they're just ruining the character.
Chris Claremont.
I feel embarrassed for Chris Claremont. Man, let's not talk about that part.
Yes,
we got
exactly.
a Chris Claremont fucking Gambit miniseries. It's going to be dope.
We do. And now this is a character that Chris created, back in the 80s. In a lot of ways, because he needed to replace Longshot on the team. He didn't like the fact that he had to, kind of run everything past Art Adams for approval when it came to to Longshot. So he basically created a Longshot-esque character, but that was Gambit. They had similar power sets, a similar look and similar vibe, and they fit a similar role on the team. And so, but he never really was around. This was right near the end of his tenure, like the last 2 or 3 years of his tenure on X-Men. So he never really had the opportunity to really delve into who Gambit is, where he came from. All of that stuff got explored by, future writers. I think
felt like it was a cartoon that really fleshed out Gambit.
It was the cartoon. It was when John Byrne took over after Chris quit. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. After Chris quit.
What's on your mind, buddy?
Yeah, apparently so. After Chris quit on X-Men 3. After X-Men 3, Byrne took over for a few issues. And then I think it was Fabian or I can't remember if it was Fabian or Lobdell, but that really kind of started fleshing out a lot of those characters. And so you don't get, I'm curious to see what Chris wants to do, because at the time Chris left, Gambit was still very, very much of a mystery, and you couldn't really even tell if he was on their side or not. The only person you knew he had any sort of loyalty to was Storm. And so especially, and if they do set it in modern era, I'm curious what Gambit's relationship is with Storm, while Storm is the so-called regent of Arakko, or so I'm really curious. I want to see how he explores this. He never got a chance before.
That's Hallmark Claremont. How do you introduce a new member of the team? You start out, maybe they're a villain, maybe they're not associated with the team, and then they join. So That's what we got with Gambit. I can't wait for that miniseries, but we've also got what is being dubbed. I don't know why they're putting this on it. It's like when the WWE said that Randy Orton Edge match was the greatest match of all times before it ever happened. They're calling this the greatest Wolverine story of all times. The 10 lives, 10 deaths of Wolverine. They solicited out the hardcover, and they probably gave, they didn't give away a lot of details, but they certainly gave away the overall premise where essentially Wolverine's going to be, I don't know, is he Moira's personal bodyguard?
I guess this feels
That's what
like
it sounds like. He's protecting her through all of her lives and deaths.
It does. I don't understand, especially if we get if supposedly all of the X-Men books to now were one of those previous lives, and that's why the continuity doesn't quite work in X-Men. There was a lot of those timelines where Wolverine didn't know shit about, Moira, and didn't really care. And if she died, he wouldn't have given it. She
died with Apocalypse being part of his team.
Yeah,
one time
I feel
she died in a plane crash.
Yeah, this is like the comic book version of, oh my God, they killed Moira, you bastard. Except for after Moira dies, the episode restarts. So yay.
They shouldn't hype this damn thing up so much, because
no, they really should not, because kind of like Solemn is Wolverine's new nemesis. Bitch, you don't get to decide that. The readers do. They didn't come into Dark Phoenix and the Phoenix Saga saying the greatest X-Men story ever told before it came out. It wasn't decided to be the greatest X-Men story ever told until it was done. And then the readers decided that one.
I mean, if they read Weapon X, it's a pretty high bar to scale.
Exactly. I could sit there and read Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X miniseries from Marvel Comics Presents over and over and over again.
As much as I like Josh Cassara, his art's not going to touch that.
No, hell no,
not
it's
even
not.
Close.
No. I'm sorry, Josh, Barry Windsor Smith, you are not. I mean, your sequentials are good, but they don't hold a damn candle to Barry's.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest comic artists of all times at his apex.
Exactly. And you know, plus you're not that, and Ben Percy, sorry, you're not on that level either as a storyteller yet. You're just not.
No, they're overhyping it. It definitely ties into the Moyer X stuff. We shall see. Obviously, this is the big event, the big event that's going to be driving X-Men, I guess, out of the reign of X era and whatever the third era is going to be, the second age of Krakoa, whatever the hell they want to call it.
I don't
bullshit, care. If you ask me. Let's get into this last comic book. This is a sad thing, Doc. We're winding down on Hellions. We know that they're ending in December. Oh, you know what? I meant to talk to you about this just real quickly. What are your thoughts on Hellions being canceled?
I think it's disappointing, considering that it was the best on. I think it's disappointing because it was the best ongoing series that the X Office was putting out. But if Zeb Wells is leaving the X Office to focus on Spider-Man, the last thing I'd want to do is hand that book over to a Tinny Howard or a Leah Williams, or
Steve Orlando.
Yeah, or even Steve Orlando. Sorry. The guy's written one good series. So no, I wouldn't want to turn the book over to someone else to watch them bastardize it. I'm glad that it's ending, and if it's not going to be continued by Zeb Wells, just that simple.
Yeah, so this is essentially, they've broken up the Hellions at this point. We got that at the very last issue where Empath essentially turned on the team and I don't know, he made Havoc blow up and kill everybody.
Yeah.
Really good issue. This is a calm down episode. We're coming down off of the high stakes. Everybody's realizing what's happened as we get into the very final chapter of these last two issues. Scalp Hunter's dead set on killing Empath. Psylocke seems like she's dead set on killing Empath because she can never bring her daughter back now. And we have definitely a disconnect between Nanny and Orphan Maker. Orphan Maker is seeking Nanny's approval. Nanny wants nothing to do with him. Although I did love the part where she was about to behead him before the X-Men showed up.
Yeah. This was a really, really good issue. This is kind of like that story, where you got like the team that was a bunch of misfits. It's kind of like, like there's been a bunch of sports movies that are like this, where it's a bunch of misfits. Yeah, the Bad News Bears. And this is where they've all gotten to the huge fight and none of them like each other right before the big game. And they're all scattered to the wind. And these last issue, this was them kind of all being scattered to the wind. The next issue is going to be them coming back together to fight the whatever the big bad's going to be to finish off the series in issue 18. So it's kind of a very formulaic story trope, but I love it. I don't care. It's a great story.
It's the calm before the storm. You can't just go from that to the next thing. You got to have a little calm down, a breathe down episode of the story to kind of get your bearings, get ready for this next chapter. There are a couple of interesting scenes here, specifically the one with Emma Frost and Havoc, as he's obviously very conflicted. He's not very happy. He feels like he's done something bad. But then Emma Frost, being a very manipulative person, is like, you know what? I've re-talked to the Quiet Council about bringing Madeline Pryor back. And then all of a sudden he takes his mind right off of it. He's no longer upset.
Like, because, I mean, she starts off like she was looking for whatever carrot was going to be required for her to manipulate him further. And originally she thought it might have been just taking him off the Hellions and saying he had, kind of served his time, that they were kind of like a work crew for him to work his way back into the good graces of Krakoa and the Quiet Council. And her saying that him doing this and taking out Sinister was that was the end of his, kind of debt to society. Yeah. And now he's a free man and he can go back and he can join the X-Men teams or an X-Factor team. And he doesn't have to be stuck with the Misfit team anymore. And that didn't even seem to that actually seemed to actually upset him, because it's like he had actually developed kind of a bond with them. But the minute she brought Madeline, it was like, oh, wait, hold on. Now this is the carrot. She was looking for the carrot. She missed on the first one. She got it on the second one.
Yep, there's a couple of other pieces of interesting information that Empath apparently considered the Hellions as friends, even though everyone on the team despises him. I like what they're doing with Scalp Hunter, although it's a very small little subplot that they got going in there where it's kind of percolating beneath the surface. But this big ender, I thought was crazy. We got what was it? We got Nanny on her ship. She wants to go check on the baby, and she's treating Orphan Maker very unpleasantly about this. What's that?
Poorly.
Yeah. She wasn't very nice to him. She gets on there, and all of a sudden, this dude Harold shows up from the right, and I guess she left him, and they used to be married, and he says she's crazy. You chose the egg over me, and now he jettisons out the baby, Smiley robot, and then he's going to use her ship to kill all the children on Krakoa. It's crazy, man. I didn't see this coming. Like, where did this come from? This is crazy.
No. I mean, I guess this does kind of go back a good while, story wise. And this really delves into some like deep lore that I completely even forgot about when it came to Nanny and Orphan Maker. And so this was really kind of cool. Like, we haven't really seen a lot of the development between Nanny and the Smiley baby. We've seen a little bit, but it's been kind of only like a couple of panels here and there. And her, but like he remotes in to like remote control her ship because I guess it apparently had been one of their ships. Mm-hmm. And so what does she do? She goes full psycho mode and just self-destruct.
Rather than kill all the children in the nursery on Krakoa.
Exactly. She's like,
I
will
like hero mode, Doc.
I guess. But I guess it's not full psycho mode or really full hero mode. It's full pragmatist mode. Like, she's just like full on whatever is going to do the job. I don't give a damn. I'll blow myself up for it. And so she does. And of course, Orphan Maker comes running up, like, cause she survives mostly or barely.
Cracked eggshell.
Yeah. And so she survives, but barely. And Orphan Maker comes up to like check on her, and she still beats the shit out of him.
Yeah,
she is absolutely pissed.
I don't have my baby anymore.
Exactly. And like, this has been like the conflict, especially post Amenth, with the conflict between and like kind of the schism between Orphan Maker and Nanny has been a long running subplot through this. And I think we're finally getting the payoff, and with any luck, they'll figure out whatever their new status quo will be. If it's going to be a little bit more even, if Orphan Maker grows up a little bit, or if Nanny takes him back under her wing again to kind of reset the dynamic.
Yeah. So we didn't get to talk about the art from Steven Segovia, but it's absolutely fantastic. The dude has been knocking it out of the park on Hellions. He does once again, although there's been a fill-in artist here and there, but it's good to see Steven Segovia back. I highly recommend this comic. It's like a 4 out of 5. It's really good.
Yeah, I'd say 4.5 out of 5. It's a great. It was like one of those baseball issues of X-Men back in the day, that kind of was a little bit of a breather. But I think we're about to get into the final phase.
Yep, because we got the Smiley robot out there, and the relationship between Orphan and Nanny Maker, Nanny and Orphan Maker to solve. We got the weird thing with Empath and the rest of the team, specifically Scalp Hunter wanting to murder him, the loss of Psylocke's daughter, and then Havoc, kind of feeling lost without Madeline Pryor. So you got a few really big subplots that haven't been fully fleshed out and resolved yet to do in the last 2 issues, but looks like it's going to go great. Zeb Wells, congratulations once again. And that is This Week at X-Men. Thank you very much, Doc. Do you have any final words?
Seriously, read Hellions.
Absolutely.